All right, guys, welcome into the Set It Off Network. I'm your host, Michael Sedetall, and we are talking how LSU Baseball is going to get it done this weekend. We already made our video. If you haven't, make sure you go check it out. We preview everything about West Virginia baseball. Looking forward to this weekend's Super Regional. But today, it's all about LSU, baby, and how they're going to get it done and go to Omaha. And it's plain and simple as that. So, first and foremost, I think we all know the NCAA hates LSU at this point. You know, like why are we scheduling games at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? All right, why are we scheduling games at 9 p.m. on a Monday night or 8 p.m. on a Monday night? Like, come on, let's get the scheduling fixed, please. Like, come on, guys. Like, we can figure something more reasonable out. Anyways, LSU did get a lucky draw with the Saturday, Sunday, Monday schedule as far as like the pitching and rest advantage. But it does suck playing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Louisiana in June because it is going to be so hot. Now, that could be an advantage for LSU, though. Obviously, West Virginia probably doesn't play in that kind of heat very often. Not saying they don't, but it's probably few and far between that they play in 90 plus degree weather. Heck, it's probably rare for LSU to play in 90 plus degree weather. Like, it really doesn't get hot like that until around this time of year. So, LSU obviously taking on West Virginia. We talked a lot about West Virginia and how their offense is built to frustrate, walk, get a bunch of singles. It's not an offense that's going to go out there and slug a bunch of home runs this weekend. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking in my head a scenario of how they go out there and hit a ton of home runs, and I look stupid, and I have to make a video about how stupid I am. But hopefully that doesn't happen, right? Because ultimately, LSU's success comes and goes with the two starters. LSU doesn't win this series without these two guys being these two guys. Like, Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson have been magnificent all year, all right? And LSU's going to need them to continue that trend. I always thought that if somebody was going to get LSU, it was going to be in a regional for this exact reason, because it's just hard for me to picture a world where anybody comes into Baton Rouge and beats Cade Anderson or beats Anthony Ianson, all right? It's just hard for me to picture that. And then you look at this West Virginia team, and I say, well, how does Anthony Ianson or Cade Anderson lose a baseball game, right? Unless like something crazy, like they walk like 6 people, 7 people, something like that, right? Something out of the ordinary. But if they're their ordinary selves, like, how does LSU lose a game that those two guys starts? And I'm like, well, it's got to be LSU's offense struggles. All right, so you have to match them. All right, and you have to hit the home run. Like, you're not going out there and getting 8 hits off of Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. You're not going out there and getting double-digit hits off of these guys. Like, you're not piecing together 3 to 4 hit innings against these guys to score runs. So the long ball has to be, Cade Anderson in the early part of the year struggled with the long ball. And Anthony Ianson has been pretty consistent all year of not giving up home runs. But, I mean, even he's given up home runs. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like the Major League Baseball approach, right? The Major League Baseball average is around like 240. But every guy is swinging for the fence, right? So when they're getting hits, they're doing damage. And why I think the matchup favors LSU so much is because of that exact reason. And that is West Virginia is not going to sit here and hit a bunch of home runs to drive in runs. Like, now, I'm not saying they don't have the potential. They have 55 home runs on the year. All right, that's not a lot. They have one guy with double-digit home runs. I'm not saying they can't hit a timely home run or they're not going to hit any home runs this weekend. Like, it is the box. It is June. Like, the ball is probably going to fly out of there. But if they think that they're going to come in here and do the 8 to 10 hits and a couple singles here, a couple singles there type thing, maybe a double sprinkled in, like, that's not a recipe for success for them, because Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson are too good. Like, they're not giving up that many hits in a game. And so I look at LSU and I'm like, well, if that's the mentality that that West Virginia's going to play, I really like LSU's chances. Um, but that being said, like we all know what Anthony Iverson and Cade Anderson are, right? Like that's not what people were concerned about at all. But I'm saying if LSU plays their type of baseball, right, and they have everything clicking, all right, Saturday and Sunday is like dubs. Like if you can score enough runs for these cats, it's hard for me to see anybody beating these two guys. And the where it gets dicey is when you talk about like what if, what if one of them has a bad start? What if the offense doesn't show up like kind of like the Ole Miss game and you lose a game like 2-0? Um, then on game 3, it looks dicey, right? Because the inconsistency from the bullpen that you saw this weekend, outside of Case and Evans, like LSU's biggest concern right now, it's not the offense, all right? It's not who that third starter is going to be. It's Zach Cowan, guys. Like Zach Cowan has got to step up. That is a guy you leaned on all year long to get you outs at the end of games, and he just can't do it right now. Like he is struggling. Like we are going on like 4 to 5 weeks now of clear-cut data that he just does not have it right now. And that is the most concerning thing because you need Zach Cowan. If you want to win that 8 national championship and put it up on that Intimidator, Zach Cowan has got to pitch better. You are not winning this tournament with just Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, and Kason Evans in your bullpen. Like, that is not a recipe for success. You have to have Zach Cowan who can come in there and get you 2 innings of shutout baseball to close out a game. And if you have to win one of the first 2 games and you need 2 innings out of somebody, you bet your ass Kason Evans is coming in that game. There is no, we're saving him as the third starter. Like, no, you need to go win either game 1 or game 2. Like, Kason Evans is coming in the game. And that is the most concerning thing because I think Kason Evans will get used in that bullpen role, all right, in the first 2 games. And I think Zach Cowan is going to get the spot start again on Sunday. And that's concerning, all right, because you guys saw what he did this past week. All right. And granted, there was a lot of tough luck in there, but there was a lot of walks in there as well, which is not Zach Cowan's thing. Zach Cowan's thing when he has struggled has been getting hit around, all right, giving up the long ball. And to see him walking people, hopefully it was just an outlier. Hopefully he locks it back in and becomes the pitcher that he was previously, and it's all good. But the biggest concern for LSU right now is Zach Cowan because, like I said, if Zach Cowan doesn't start performing like Zach Cowan was performing, somebody's going to get LSU. And I don't know who. I don't know if it's going to be this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be in Omaha. But somebody is going to get them. All right? And it's going to be because of that. And it's just one of those things where it's hard to imagine 3 months ago or 2 months ago that Zach Cowan is not a factor in this bullpen anymore. So for LSU to have success, I think it comes in the first 2 games. I really do. I think if the offense can get out early, you can kind of set the tone. Now, West Virginia's got a really good starter going on Friday. All right, Kern is super good. He pitched 7 1/3. He goes deep into the game. All right, he's pitched in hostile environments. That's a lot of things the West Virginia coach talked about was pitching in hostile environment. And I think that's going to help them coming into this weekend as far as not being intimidated by the environment. Because we've seen Alex Box break opponents before. I don't think it's going to break this West Virginia team. I think this West Virginia team believes that they can win games, and they're very good at winning close games. So it's one of those things where maybe they don't get to Cade Anderson, but maybe they get to whoever's next. Maybe they get to Kason Evans, and work through the 8th and 9th inning, and they've mounted comebacks before and pretty much all regional. So it's not anything new to them to be down early. So that's another thing to look for this weekend. But LSU is going to win this series, and LSU has to hit the ball and rely on their two studs. Man, that's really what it all comes down to. Like, if the offense can finally take that step forward. You liking what you're seeing out of Bear right now. You love what you're seeing out of Ethan Fry. I think the lineup's going to honestly stay close to the same as it's been all year. I think it's going to go back to, what it originally was. Maybe you put like Fry higher up or something like that. You switch like Fry and Jones, and put Fry in that 2 hole and Jones in like the 4 hole or 5 hole. But I think it's going to remain similar to like how it's been all season, and and it all starts and ends with Derek Carrillo. Like, it's one of those where if he goes, we go type thing. Because when Derek Carrillo is hitting the ball, LSU is hitting the ball and driving in runs, and he is the perfect table setter. He's been awesome all year long, and he had an amazing regional, and that's something to look forward to this weekend. Obviously, you saw what Ethan Fry did, a Louisiana kid trying to go to Omaha and be the guy. He was on that 2023 team, but he wasn't the guy. So this is the first time he's the guy, and he is in sole control of what happens on this team. You have a guy like Stephen Milam stepping up finally. A guy who hit close to 200 in SEC play, had an amazing regional, was on the all-tournament team for the regional. And you're seeing a lot of progress as far as the offense, as far as taking quality at bats. All right, it's not always going to lead to results. Jay Johnson's a very process-oriented guy. All right, it's all about taking the good at bats, because the good at bats lead to different things later in the game. It might not be you winning in the first at bat or the second at bat, but maybe that third at bat you finally figure something out and you put a good swing on one, and boom, it's a 3-run homer type mentality. Like, that's how LSU hits the ball. They're going to work counts. They're going to try to drive the pitch count up. They're going to make things tough on opposing pitchers, and that crowd's going to make it tough on opposing pitchers. And then I think LSU has a significant edge in the defensive side of the ball. I watched West Virginia play this weekend, and they kicked the ball around. All right, and it led to the reason they were down in a lot of games. Like, the game 1 against Kentucky, the kid only gave up 1 earned run. But he gave up 3 runs total because the kid threw it in the dugout, right? And so that's an advantage that I think LSU has significantly over West Virginia. And you know how the box plays. Like, when you start kicking the ball around, that place gets it gets loud, and it gets frustrating to be the opposing team when you can't feel the ball. And it is very tough to beat LSU at home when the box is rocking. So, it's not rocket science. I think the plan is literally drawn out for LSU. I think LSU would be obviously more ideal if they got it in the first 2 games. I think it's going to be tough for West Virginia to win one of the first 2 games. I think if LSU does win this series, I think it comes in a 2-game sweep, because I just think those 2 starters are just that good. And I think those guys are the team plays so good for them, and it's one of those things where it just brings confidence throughout the entire locker room, knowing that guy's on the bump. And so from the West Virginia side, you're really just trying to force a game 3. You're trying to steal one of these first 2 and get to game 3 to kind of see what happens. But if you're LSU and you play your game, those first 2 games, you score some runs for those cats, and it's going to be a long day at the box for West Virginia and company. And I think that kind of leads me into my prediction on the whole thing. I do think LSU gets it done this weekend. I do think they win in the first 2 games. I think Cade Anderson and Anthony Einstein are just better. It has nothing to do with West Virginia. It has nothing to do with LSU's offense struggling. Like, I just think those guys are better, and I think if West Virginia were to steal one of the first 2 games, then things would get problematic for LSU, and obviously the momentum could shift depending on how it all plays out. But I think LSU gets it done. I think they play their best baseball. I think they play more like the first 2 games they played in the regional than the last 2 games. I think the focus and the goal is right in front of them, and they're not losing a super regional at the box, plain and simple. Like, that's my opinion on it. So if you liked today's video, man, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave your comments, let me know what you think a winning scenario for LSU looks like this weekend, and then we'll be here to talk about it all weekend. We'll be doing post-game stuff for game 1, 2, 3, however many it takes, man. We'll be here. So thank you guys again. Have a great weekend, and go Tigers.